Hello and welcome to Wisdom Trek. This is Guthrie Chamberlain and I am your guide to wisdom. Thank you for joining us for our 7-day-a-week, 7 Minutes of Wisdom podcast. By consuming these daily wisdom nuggets, the principles will help you in your quest to become healthy, wealthy, and wise as we trek through life together. This is day 46 of our trek, and we will continue the next few days on this trek to look at how changing our thinking can dramatically change our lives. We are recording our podcast from our studios at Home 2 in Charlotte, North Carolina. We had the privilege of being interviewed on another podcast this week, which was released on Monday. I count it a blessing to be able to share our story on other platforms as well. So far, we've been on The Profit Pathway with Adam Farmer, Plugged in Life with Mitch Craig, The Launching Point with Mike O'Toole, and Life Uncut with Tom Walter and John Allaire. If you'd like to listen to any of these interviews, they can be found at wisdom-trek.com and choose the Big House link. There is another interview not yet released and a couple more scheduled, so I'll keep you informed when they are ready. And I'm excited to continue our trek today as we visit waypoints 4 and 5 on our trail in our quest to change our thinking so that we can change our lives. There are 12 waypoints or rest stops in all, plus a couple planning discussions that we had before that, so if you've missed any of the past 5 days of podcasts, please go back and listen to them or read our daily journal entries. This will give you the foundations for this week's trek. We ended our podcast yesterday, and I asked you to consider 2 more questions. The first one yesterday was, am I dedicated to removing distractions and mental clutter so that I can concentrate with clarity on the real issues? And the second one I asked yesterday was, am I working to break out of my box, exploring ideas and options so that I can experience a creative breakthrough? Now I have to ask, did you take time to reflect on and answer those questions? How has your focus and creativity changed as a result of these 2 questions? Remember, we must grow ourselves before we can ever hope to help others grow. So let's start down our trail today toward the next waypoint or rest stop. While I am very much of an optimist in life, I'm also very much a realist. I always believe that the glass is completely full, with either liquid, air, or some other substance. But I also know that I may not always want to drink what is in the cup. So as we stop by our 4th waypoint or rest stop today, in changing our thinking, we need to employ realistic thinking. Now, realistic thinking is absolutely essential for success in life. It minimizes your risk by determining in advance what the consequences of different actions might be. By understanding and acknowledging these consequences, it is possible to plan for them. By developing contingency plans, it allows you to feel and be more secure. Realistic thinking will also lead you to better define your objectives or goals so that you can reach them. Through realistic thinking, you can create a solid foundation upon which your ideas can be built upon. This reminds me of a parable that Christ taught in Luke chapter 6, verses 47 through 49. And as we follow Christ, this is what he says. I will show you what it's like when someone comes to me, listens to my teaching, and then follows it. It is like the person building a house who digs deep and lays a foundation on solid rock. When the floodwaters rise and break against that house, it stands firm because it is well built. But anyone who hears and doesn't obey is like the person who builds his house without a foundation. When the floods sweep down against this house, it will collapse into a heap of ruins. So to improve your realistic thinking abilities, here are 5 tips. First, develop an appreciation for truth. Realistic thinking requires that you face the truth and you take responsibility for its consequences. Second, gather the facts. An important part of realistic thinking is that you gather the facts connected to your idea. It also can be useful to study what others have done. Third, think about the pros and cons. When you analyze the pros and cons associated with an idea, you can gain a more realistic point of view. Fourth, envision the worst-case scenario. One of the most useful traits of a realistic thinker is to uncover, envision, and analyze the worst-case scenarios about your ideas and plans. And fifth, align resources with objectives. After analyzing the pros and cons and identifying the worst-case scenario, you must then identify the gaps between reality and your visions or plans. Once you identify these gaps, then fill them. So our first question for today at waypoint number 4, am I building a solid foundation on facts so that I can think with certainty? Let's travel on down the trail a little bit to waypoint number 5. And this is, utilize strategic thinking. Strategic thinking enables you to take a long-term view of a situation. This type of thinking has numerous benefits. It can simplify your ideas by breaking them down into manageable pieces, and it also leads you to more precise thinking. You must move beyond the vague idea and identify specific ways to address your issue. By aligning actions with objectives, strategic thinking improves the odds that you are going in the right direction. To break this down a little further, the following 7 steps will help you with your strategic thinking. First, break down the issue. To focus on your issues most effectively, strategically break them down into smaller parts that are more manageable. Second, why before how. Identify all the issues first before jumping in and trying to solve them. Third, identify the real issues and objectives. Ask yourself and others probing questions to uncover the real issues. After you've identified the real issues, often the solution to a problem is quite simple. Fourth, review the available resources. You must consider what resources are available. If this is overlooked, your strategy and plan will fail. Fifth, develop a plan. Put the obvious elements in place first to initiate momentum, and then build your plan. Sixth, include other people if needed. As a part of strategic thinking, include the right people to assist you. And seventh, repeat this process. Strategic thinking becomes most effective when you utilize it continuously. So our second question for today, at waypoint number 5, is, am I implementing strategic plans that give me direction for today and increase my potential for tomorrow? We need to learn and then adopt the thinking habits of wise and successful people. It is not enough just to learn something, we must also put it into practice for it to become effective. This is backed up by Proverbs 21:5. Good planning and hard work lead to prosperity, but hasty shortcuts lead to poverty. Now, as your guide, friend, mentor, and fellow sojourner, let me know how I can help you in your thinking and to become a better leader and mentor to your tribe. Well, that'll finish our podcast for today. If you've missed any of the previous podcasts, especially this week, please check them out at Wisdom Trek on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, or at wisdom-trek.com. Tomorrow we'll continue down our trek to additional waypoints or rest stops and study how changing our thinking can literally change our lives. So please join us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. And if you enjoy these daily doses of wisdom, these wisdom nuggets that we teach each day, I encourage you to help us in the following 4 ways. Leave us feedback about the podcast at wisdom-trek.com. Please subscribe on iTunes or Stitcher. Leave us a rating on iTunes or Stitcher. And share Wisdom Trek with your family and friends. Thank you for allowing me to serve as your guide to wisdom. I really do appreciate it. The journal for this podcast can be found at wisdom-trek.com, where we have pictures, tweetable quotes, wisdom nuggets, and free resources. And as we take this trek together, let us always live abundantly or fully, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy the journey, and create a great day every day. See you tomorrow.